Right now, though, I want to welcome to the program Second Amendment attorney and scholar Steve Holbrook. Steve, glad you could come on the show tonight.
As always, it's always entertaining to be on your show.
Well, we really appreciate it. And, virtually every bit of media attention that is looking overseas right now is focused on the Middle East, and perhaps rightfully so. But in a couple of weeks, less than 2 weeks now, February 13th, in Switzerland, there is going to be a vote that I think is a lot of gun owners in the United States, I think, are going to be very curious to see how this vote turns out. This would be a vote that would ban Army-issue firearms from Swiss households. Now, Steve, we've talked about the fact that the Swiss have kept their military firearms at home for going back decades.
Well, hundreds of years, actually. Let's put this in context. If we go back to the founding of our republic, Switzerland was the only country in Europe that was free, and it had no monarchy, and it was because all the Swiss were armed. And the American revolutionaries looked at that model, and they explicitly talked about it. Patrick Henry did so. And if you fast forward, the founders of the National Rifle Association looked to the Swiss model and recommended it for America because in Switzerland, rifle shooting was the Swiss national sport. Theodore Roosevelt was an enthusiast of it, and we actually sent military observers to Switzerland at the turn of the century to go to Swiss shooting matches and to see how they worked in their society. So, so that's been the tradition there for hundreds of years, and that's why they've been free. I mean, the term William Tell means something. The guy with the crossbow was an excellent marksman, and he ended up shooting the tyrant, and that led to the liberation of Switzerland from the Habsburg monarchy. But here you have a group of radicals who want to ban not only the military, the militia gun in the home, but also all private guns. I mean, it would totally obliterate the Swiss shooting sports, and that's going to be voted on by the Swiss people on February the 13th.
So this goes far beyond then just the military firearms. This goes to the privately owned firearms as well?
Oh, absolutely. My book, Target Switzerland, goes into some of the historic background. It's still available in paperback for any reader or listeners. But this would make it. This is like the Brady Center's dream come true if we can, transpose that kind of anti-gun organizational mentality abroad. Here you have perhaps the most free country in the world as far as the right to keep and bear arms. And we have those who want to obliterate their traditions and turn it into some kind of society that would be as bad or worse than England or one of those countries where there is no freedom in respect to the right to keep and bear arms.
Yeah. So who is pushing this ban, Steve? Is there a Swiss version of the Brady campaign?
Yes, there is. I mean, besides the international influence, I mean, you have some Swiss who look to other countries like Germany or the countries where governments are a lot more powerful, and they don't. I don't know. It's kind of a self-hatred, I think. They want to join the European Union and be subject to Brussels, basically. So you have certain women's groups. There was a infamous case where a man murdered his wife, who was an internationally renowned skier, and so that gave them the kind of tragedy that you don't want to go to waste.
Okay.
To make that an issue, and then the Socialist Party of Switzerland, the same group of people who, if you go back to the days when Switzerland was threatened by Nazi Germany, they said that the Swiss should never give up their guns. But now they turned the page on that. And then the Greens, people who are basically pacifists, they trust the rest of the world to leave them alone. They trust criminals to leave them alone, and there's plenty of them swarming everywhere in Europe, and including in Switzerland. There's foreigners who are committing crimes. In fact, most violent crime in Switzerland is by foreigners. So this would just disarm the population and basically turn Switzerland into some kind of pacifist state that would be subject to whoever wants to bully the country.
Would you care to hazard a guess as to how you think the vote on February 13th may go?
I believe that the pro-freedom people will win, traditionalists will win. There's been other votes like this. Back in, I believe, 1989, there was a vote to ban the Army, and it failed. I hope it'll be a rousing failure. I hope it'll that the forces of freedom will smash the other side. But I think that it is a great danger. I don't want to predict it.
Yeah.
The outcome, and I have to say that if the margin is only slim, it'll just encourage them. So I can only hope that that they really pounce them. And I think, when I was young, I read an American Rifleman magazine about the Swiss and their institutions, and you can go back to issues of our magazine when it was, I think, called Man at Arms or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I forgot exactly the title. But you'll see a lot of references to Switzerland because it's been one of the primary places in the world where this freedom is renowned and where rifle shooting and pistol shooting is taken very seriously. We were just there in last summer doing matches in Switzerland, and you see the whole people coming out, and guns are freely possessed in this peaceful country. So it would be a real tragedy to end that tradition in that country.
Absolutely. Well, Steve, the music means we're out of time, but we will continue keeping our eyes on what is going on with that vote coming up on February 13th, and look forward to talking to you again as we get closer to that date. Thank you so much for coming on the program tonight, sir.
You're quite welcome, Cam. Thank you.